Hi guys.
Hey,
How
are you guys? We're good. How are you? Good.
How's Comic-Con treating you so far?
Great. I want to walk the floor, but
You can't walk.
It's not like anyone.
oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's too crowded. I mean, you
Hey,
could walk the
is
floor.
the toy hunter here?
Yes, he is.
Abby, you see the toy hunter guy?
I met him today.
Oh, I can't wait to meet him. All right, looking forward to that.
What about the show? I mean, the show's phenomenally successful. What do you think about it speaks to the audience, and what do you think attributes to its success?
I think it's a bunch of things. You know, it's the sum of all these parts. Like Harmon's ability to tap into sort of the more emotional core component. You know, making characters really relatable and real. And then me, my sort of crazy, insane, you know, retro scripting, and I don't know. It's very strange. It's a weird sort of perfect storm of creative. I don't know. Goodness.
It's like the carefree vibe. Like it's nice to feel like you're watching something that kind of doesn't care if you're watching.
Yeah.
So it's got that energy that a new project has an opportunity to have, which is just like, all right, let's just.
And maintaining that is tricky. I mean, we're trying to continue to maintain that. I mean, I love stuff where, like, at the end of the episode, like Rick's like, you know, remember back in the first act of the episode when you did this thing, you know, it's like it's just like, you know, fuck it, it's a TV show, you know. We all know what we're watching. We're watching a TV show. I just love that kind of stuff, just not giving a shit. The end of Meeseeks is a great example of, like, you know, where he's just like, you know, hey, you know, he's waving at the camera. Hey, all right, see you guys next week. Fuck, you know, or whatever. Like, I don't give a fuck. It's my new catchphrase, like all that shit. I don't know. I think that just lends a very loose kind of, I don't know, it just lets everyone who's watching go like, well, then there's the people who go, does Rick know he's on a TV show? Is this like some sort of master plan? But really, no, it's just us having fun and like being loose and allowing ourselves to do that kind of stuff, which, and who knows? I don't know if that's the secret ingredient. I think there's a lot of things that have added together, make the show really, have made it really like connect with people, but.
Just a second question. How did the character of Mr. Meeseeks come about?
We were breaking a story. Harmon was on tour for Harmontown. He was out of the room, and I remember, like, we had some story. I don't know what the fuck the story was, but I was just like, this fucking sucks. And I was like, we gotta have fun with this. And I was like, just like, why don't you just like, I'm Mr. Meeseeks, Mr. Meeseeks. And I just started doing that. And Ridley got all mad at me, and I was like, Mr. Meeseeks, look at me. And then we started, like, I don't know if it wasn't until you came back. I think we came up with the conceit of the Meeseeks, but then Harmon came back and really helped us fine tune the story with Jerry and like the golfing and all that stuff. Kind of that was after you got back, because I remember you being in the room and the whole like wiggle at the end when he like finally like lands the putt and they all disappear. But it was really just like out of my frustration of us banging our heads against the wall on some other story that it was just lame, and we couldn't get it. And I'm like, I want to do something fun and crazy, and Ridley was all pissed, but then he kind of came around. But there's a lot of stuff in that episode, like in the Thirsty Step, that's verbatim, like, you know, like I'm Mr. Booby Buyer, I'll buy your boobies for, you know, all that kind of crazy stuff. That's all verbatim Ridley angrily pitching, like, why don't we just do, I'm Mr. Booby Buyer, I'll buy your boobies for $100, and I'm Mr. You know, all this crazy shit. I'm Thirsty Slippery Stare, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yes, that's perfect. Type it up. And he's just like, you know, we luckily had it all recorded and typed it all up. And now I've found when Ridley gets upset and angrily pitches things spitefully, I'm like, pay attention, guys. This could be good to put in the show.
I was wondering about the development of the Rick's Steam Minutes episode, and were there additional channels that you were going to surf that had to get cut?
Yeah, that the production pipeline for that episode is so different than the normal production pipeline because we'll write and break the I guess you can call it the B story, I don't know, the A story, whatever the sort of narrative is, and then we try to keep that real tight and small third, of the overall episode run length. And then all the sketches are just experimental. It's like, I'll go in the booth and just riff and improv shit. Harmon will be on the other side. Unfortunately, I never got a day with you on this new one to be in the room. So who knows? He hasn't heard any of the sketches for the new one, but they're pretty great. But yeah, it's weird and it's a huge strain on the team.
Was there ones that we cut for the first one? What's ones that we cut?
We cut a Seinfeld one. It just was like it was like unrelatable Seinfeld, and he's like, "What's the deal with Chinese bones? Why do they taste so good?"
Yeah, it was like a universe where all of Seinfeld's observations were totally unrelatable.
Just like, what the fuck? And they're like, "What's the deal with huge cocks? Why do they taste so good in my mouth?" And then Rick's like, "Geez, Seinfeld's really
this universe is Seinfeld's. His observations are not really resonant."
Yeah, but then the audience is just exploding with laughter. It's like, "Oh boy, they really like it though." Yeah, I don't know. Change. But that got cut. I think it's on the DVD. Did we put it? We might have put that on the DVD as a cut, deleted scene. I don't know. It didn't. It probably, that pitch was probably better than what, if it is on the DVD, you'll see it and you'll be like, okay, I see why they cut this. A lot more got cut for this new one. I really cast a wide net, and our poor storyboard guys boarded way more than they needed to board. But anyways.
Speaking of the, you're saying there's a lot of looseness involved and stuff, but you set up so many crazy things that need to be followed up in season 2. Are we going to actually get, further explorations like the League of Ricks and that Evil Morty and a few of the other, friendships that, that Rick has established, and kind of we only get pinpointed, but
yeah,
there's so in season 2
it's sprinkled throughout the season.
There is more the continuity does exist, even though there's a looseness.
Yeah,
a little goes a long way. I mean, it's like I have I come to the table with a lot of gun shyness from Community, because I feel like Community's fan base became so rewardable and was so thankful for continuity in the show. And I never like to do inside stuff, meaning that stuff that you would have to have seen something previous in order to get it. I always try painstakingly not to avoid doing that, but I felt like over 5 years, Community, because of the intense relationship the fans had with the show, it actually kind of got branded as being more inside than I ever strove for it to be. And so now I'm in the writers' room on this new show. We got Mr. Meeseeks, we got the Council of Ricks, we got a million things that we just shot,
Snuffle,
out. And so the question ultimately becomes, do we revisit that stuff? And I tend to be the guy that says, no, not yet. Just let's show some restraint, and we'll be rewarded for it later.
Yeah.
But I don't. Not that Justin's like, no, let's do everything again. But he's a little less convinced that it would destroy the show.
Yeah.
I so somewhere in between there, what happens is little sprinkles here and there, right?
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to jump the shark, so to speak, too quickly in the show, in terms of giving away too much of Rick's backstory and going back to all these things that we've kind of established in season 1.
I mean, I will say we spent a great deal of time in the writers' room this year revisiting a major thing from season 1, and ultimately it was all wasted time. I mean, it might be spoilers for season 3 for me to talk about what we were planning on doing.
Don't give details because we don't even know.
But I will say it was 4 or 5 weeks of us talking about, okay, the finale is going to be when we do this, and it was we ended up going, this isn't working. And I think that it's sort of like the second Dungeons and Dragons episode of Community is like it was cursed from the beginning because it's like to decide that you're just going to do something again, like you better really have your shit together because it ultimately like stories tell themselves, and if they it's already hard to get them to do that.
Yeah.
But if they're fighting you because you decided that you know what a story is better than the story knows, then you're really screwing yourself.
We're going to do one more question.
Were there
Did either of you have a grandfather that lived with you and was a bad influence on your lives?
Not a huge bad influence, maybe a little bit. I think I'm a lot like him, and I'm going to die at a young age like he did.
I had a
dark
great grandpa who died a hermit. He lost all his money in the stock market, and then he made it all back, but he never trusted banks after that. So he lived in a corrugated tin hut out on some land in Wisconsin, and he was rich again, but it was all cash under his mattress.
Oh my
God! And he was a theology major, and like he was the only other Harmon that went to college, I think.
Dan, come here. Come on. Got cash in
But
my
I never got
mattress.
to meet him. He was my great grandpa. The first time I saw him, it was in a coffin.
So that part of the show is not autobiographical.
No.
I think Rick is just.
I mean, Rick, if
symbol
anything,
of all of our
is,
mental illnesses.
Yeah, exactly. Like Rick's a weird combination of me and Dan. Depending on what episode you're watching, it's more Dan or more me. But yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah.
God bless your round table.